So, there's a Lord of the Rings musical. And no, I'm not talking about this one. Though if you want me to make a video about that, I probably could. Hello there, I'm your friendly neighbourhood fangirl, and if you're new to my channel, my content is about exactly what you might have guessed by now. The life of being a fangirl, from cosplay and craft, to passionate videos covering topics from some of my many fandoms, like this one today. I already know there will be some people clicking on this video and thinking, a Lord of the Rings musical? Ha, no one could ever achieve that. It would be terrible. So if that's you, let me show you a clip that will hopefully change your mind.
Shine forever, beacon of light, blaze in the air, vanquishing night, live forever, held like a breath, deep at the core, blossom in death.
Wasn't that just glorious? If you haven't listened to the full musical, either go do that right now or right after you watch this video. The album is available on Spotify and YouTube and hopefully other music streaming platforms. I was really surprised when I started doing research on the Lord of the Rings musical to find that nobody had made a video on it yet. That's why you're here on my small channel, so sorry if this video disappoints. The websites I used to gather information should all be linked in the description if you want to read from them yourself. I'm going to be doing an overview of everything from this musical because it deserves to be brought back to life, even if it's just through a live concert or something. There will be 3 parts of this video. The first part will be on how it came to be, and its rise and inevitable fall against the critics. The second part will be about the sets, the costumes, the actors, and those kinds of details. And last but definitely not least, the third part will be about the actual music, talking about the people who made it and going through the tracks. Something I read while doing my research that really stuck with me was this. Just as The Lord of the Rings is like no book you've ever read, and the movies are like no movies you've ever watched, the musical is like no musical you've ever heard. I've got my notes with me here, so without further ado, let's get into it. The Lord of the Rings musical launched in Toronto, Canada in 2006 because the producers couldn't find a British theatre large enough for the mind-blowing production they were trying to pull off. This was 3 years after The Return of the King came out, the last of the Peter Jackson-directed LOTR films. Fans were very excited to see the famous J.R.R. Tolkien story brought to life through song on the stage. Everything looked very promising, but the musical ended up closing only 6 months after its opening night due to terrible reviews from critics. As we all know, around half of the critics out there are sadly not at all like the fans, who have much more clearer expectations and hopes regarding where their fandom is going next. Luckily for us, The Lord of the Rings musical was given a second chance in 2007. The show was adapted for a stage back in London and rewritten to give it a shorter running time, although afterwards it still lasted for 3 hours. Then, in a preview performance, disaster struck, and an actor playing a ranger got his leg caught in the floorboards of the stage. Fellow actors left their places to come help him, like decent human beings would do, and everyone got some extra days to recover and practice more. But when they took to the stage, critics started complaining again. Lord of the Rings and Board of the Rings are just 2 titles it was given in reviews. LOTR fans like you and me were fighting back though. The show continued to run, with famous people like Judi Dench and Andrew Lloyd Webber among the crowds. There were standing ovations, and critics who weren't even fans of the stories of Middle-earth started giving it 4- and 5-star ratings. A review from The Guardian stated that, if Tolkien's trilogy is to be a stage spectacle, I don't see how it could be better done. Thank goodness, because it was the most expensive musical ever seen on the West End at the time. Eventually, when its time came to close after 492 performances, the producer, Kevin Wallace, said, "The show's creative team has proven just how enchanting, exhilarating, and powerfully entertaining The Lord of the Rings can be live on stage. ... We look forward to presenting the show to new audiences abroad from 2009. A world tour was coming. Germany, New Zealand, Australia. But when the curtain fell in London, it never rose again." I have researched for a long time to make the story of this musical's rise and fall as accurate as I can. Somebody on Reddit said that in 2013 it was announced that the Lord of the Rings musical was coming back in 2015, yet there's been no sign of the show ever since. Quoting that Reddit user again, the link to the full conversation is in the description. "Usually when shows like this don't do very well, they're often forgotten by the public. Only if a flop has a fairly large cult following will it have a chance of making a return. ... I wouldn't say that the LOTR musical has much of a cult following, but there definitely are fans out there who want to see the show make a return. As you can tell, I am definitely one of those fans, and I never even got the chance to see the show. Even though I would pay so much to see it, it isn't hard for me to understand why it hasn't returned. Everyone involved had already lost a ton of money, majorly because of the first production in Toronto, and its high as hell budget would have to be doubled or raised even higher for a world tour. Paired with that, the danger of what could actually go wrong in the performances would probably have pushed the producers not to take any more chances, with all the stunts and treacherous floorboards. Now that we've finished the first part, let's dive in even deeper, starting with a clip that I think shows us just how powerful the magic of this musical is. This is Lothlórien.
From the west she appeared, sunlight and stars in her hair. In her eyes an undying memory of home, a land that is magical and fair. Lórien, Lórien, Alai Karalka. Oh, Etelis and Ebrodel, Anieleata. Lórien, 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 Lórien,
Oh, child of my heart, born of a never-ending dream. You are cradled in light, bathed in an ever-flowing stream. Flourish and grow, my mystical world, here you will ever belong. Son of my yearning, daughter of hope, beautiful child of my song. Although storms may descend, mountain and valley make way. For the days that remain, this is the promise I make. No shadow fall across this land, before the wind and fire I stand, and you, my child, will know no harm, enfolded in my arms.
From acrobatics to breathtaking costumes, and lighting and special effects, let's talk about it. According to my notes, the setup saw the stage with 2 small revolves and 1 large revolve, the things that make a circular area of the stage spin, with flat floorboards in between them. The main revolve could go up really high and down into the basement underneath. It could split apart too, to provide different heights and dimensions easily. These were used in scenes like Helm's Deep, which was around 8 minutes long and had a continuously changing stage setup. What's even better, what was happening on stage almost always affected the audience through more than emotions. Going back to that Reddit conversation for the last time, I swear, in the one reply to the first user's research, someone said, "They built out the woods into the theatre, covering up the boxes and making the cavern that is Drury Lane quite atmospheric. The orcs would go out into the audience and jump at people from behind, and they ran crazy wind machines when Gandalf bites it, blowing leaves and things into the audience. The magic was magical, it was a big cast, and visually quite lavish. It sounds amazing, doesn't it? Let's talk about that cast now. So obviously, the Lord of the Rings musical didn't have anybody super famous, because otherwise it would have gotten much more attention. Against the cast of the Peter Jackson movies that we all know and love, it's definitely reduced to a cast that's less widely known. Looking at the actors from the original London cast, I think those who played Aragorn, Galadriel and Gollum were the most famous. Here's a bit of information on them. Jérôme Pradon, a French actor, played Aragorn. His musical debut happened in 1991, playing Marius in Les Mis. From then he has been in Miss Saigon, Jesus Christ Superstar and Titanic, among other musicals. He had already gathered quite the reputation with a few award nominations before being cast as Aragorn. Another fact for you theatre kids, Jérôme performed the part of André in the French dub of Joel Schumacher's Phantom of the Opera film. Here's a clip of a short interview with him and the actress who played Arwen.
So you two guys, you play the star-crossed lovers of the show. Can you tell me a little bit about your characters?
Strider is a ranger and he's always been madly in love with Arwen, but she's an immortal, so it's a bit problematic.
And you're human,
and I'm human, and during the show we have this big romantic duet.
The climax of your love.
Yeah, Aragorn is really, really sad because he thinks that he will never have a life with Arwen.
To have immortality is a huge thing in Middle-earth, so for her to give that up...
Well, but it's all worth it for the love of each other, right?
Of course!
As you say, you choose brief joy
over...
everlasting.
Everlasting last, yeah.
Okay, well, lovely to see you guys. Maybe we'll see a bit of you later.
Okay, so the lady interviewing them in that clip was Laura Michelle Kelly, who played Galadriel. As you heard in that clip of Lothlorien earlier, she has a gorgeous voice. She has been in a long list of stage musicals, including Beauty and the Beast, Mamma Mia, Les Mis, and Mary Poppins, in which she played Mary over 400 times and won an award for Best Actress. In her career, she's performed alongside Jeff Goldblum and in front of Barack Obama, and I really think she should be more well known. In the same year Laura took on the role of Galadriel, she also starred in the Tim Burton directed film Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, as Lucy. Compared to that small role in a big movie musical, she played the main role in a small Australian movie musical called Goddess, which interests me because I'm obviously from Australia. Listening to the Lord of the Rings musical, it didn't take me long to decide that she was my favourite singer, even though I knew nothing about her before my long researching sessions, and even though Galadriel isn't necessarily one of my favourite characters. Okay, this is probably dragging on a bit, but let's take a moment to cover the costumes. They're pretty similar to what is described in J.R.R. Tolkien's original novels, with the hobbits in their iconic waistcoats and the wizards in long flowing robes. But when comparing them to the costumes from Peter Jackson's films, I noticed a few things to point out. The rangers in the films have what people today would know as the medieval look. The rangers in the musical, however, look to be way more inspired specifically by the Vikings, or what people think the Vikings look like, if I'm using Aragorn for reference. Longer hair, war/face paint, those different layers of armour with that distinct rugged cloak over the top. Boromir has the same style as well, and although I could only find a picture of Legolas to represent the elves, you can see those same Viking themes continued on with them as well. With the female elves though, they stuck to the gorgeous elegance that is more associated with them. One thing that I love that they did to keep the main female elves different from each other is that they put Galadriel in gold and Arwen in silver. This could represent their difference in power, their difference in status, their grandmother-granddaughter relationship, anything really. And I really love it. Back to the cast now, we've got one last person to cover. LOTR fans know that Gollum is a very complicated character to play, and we can all agree that Andy Serkis nailed everything about him in the films. From the creepy voice to the wild body language. Without Andy, we would not have the same amazing portrayal of Gollum that comes to our minds when we hear the character's name. But what about in the musical? Michael Theriault had come from a classical theatre background, but had turned to musical theatre, which had been a great decision, because he quickly won an award for his acting. So it was almost no surprise that he won an award for his performance as Gollum. Here's another one of those interviews with Michael this time.
Hello.
Hi.
You want to come back? So can you just tell us what you're doing here?
Yeah, I'm checking out my harness. My first entrance in the show is upside down, walking down the front cloth of the theater. So every day at this time, I have to check and make sure that my harness is in proper working orders.
Okay, so tell us a bit about your character.
Yeah, Gollum. Gollum. I kind of like to think of Gollum as like a drug addict who desperately needs their fix, and in this case, the fix is the ring. And he's someone who had the ring at one point, and it was stolen from him. So he spends most of the story trying to get it back.
And do you think that the audience would sympathise with your character, Gollum?
I do. I think Gollum's, although he looks like a monster, he's a very human character with a lot of conflict, and I think the audience can relate to him.
Yeah.
What can I say? His costume, his acting, and last but not least, his duet with himself would have been a sight to see. Yeah, you heard me. Gollum sings. Let's finally talk about the music of this musical. In 2003, a film score composer by the name of Christopher Nightingale, who was co-producing the Lord of the Rings musical, began working on the music with Allahabad Rahman, an Indian composer, record producer, singer, songwriter, and director known professionally as A.R. Rahman. Let's start with some background information on Rahman. He has worked in composing scores for many documentaries and films, predominantly in the Hindi film industry, with some projects done in Hollywood too. He has multiple awards, perhaps the best being the Padma Bhushan, that was awarded to him by the Indian government, and his work has led him to donate and raise money for a number of causes and charities. He started learning music at an early age because his father had been a film score conductor and composer before him. Rahman's life story on how he came to be the greatly respected man he is today is quite long, so I won't continue, but I definitely recommend checking him out. To collaborate with Rahman for LOTR, the Finnish folk band Vartina was invited over. Some background information on Vartina. It started as a project that was established by two sisters who had a talent for poetry back in the 1970s. Today, it's a band consisting of 3 lead female vocalists, supported by 3 acoustic musicians. Its name translates to meaning spindle in English. Members normally sing in their own traditional language, but for LOTR, they studied the Elvish languages of Middle-earth and helped Rahman use them when it came to lyrics. There's really no other information out there on how the rest of their work together went, but I am very interested in learning how they mixed the different types of music both sides usually worked with to create what we hear on the LOTR album. Traditional Indian music had obviously been a big influence on Rahman's music. His very successful career coming from the use of ambient orchestration through contemporary instruments continues to bloom today. If you go onto his profile on Spotify, you'll be scrolling for a long time. Vartina also makes use of acoustic instruments. They kind of created their own style in the folk genre itself, mixing folk into rock, jazz and pop. Alright, let's go through the Lord of the Rings musical album now. There are 18 tracks, and I'll be going through them all, but only into major detail for my favourites. Number 1 is our prologue, Lasto I Lamath, or in English, Listen to the Voice. This is a beautiful instrumental piece with some Elvish singing over it, in the language of Sindarin. It introduces us to Middle-earth quite like the prologue of the Fellowship of the Ring does. Searching for the English translation of the lyrics, I found numerous websites and one video that say they go like this. The winds of change blow, and the old world will not remain. Separate we are vulnerable, together we may hope to conquer the shadow. Listen to the voices on the wind, the voices of your forefathers. Do not be afraid, there is a choice to make. None can help you. Listen, your instinct will lead you. There are a few complaints in the comments of the video that suggest that the pronunciation of the Elvish is pretty off. And I'm no expert on the language of Sindarin or any of the Middle-earth languages for that matter, so I can't really say anything. But I still love this piece of music for its sense of magic and wonder.
The road goes through the road, never ever past your door. More calling for your feet to stray. Veil by veil, deep and by rolling rain. The road goes on, will sweep them far away.
The second song is The Road Goes On, which is by far in my top 3 favourite songs from this musical. It's sung by Frodo, Sam, Merry and Pippin when they are leaving Hobbiton and the lives they knew behind them. It's light-hearted and hopeful, and again, Elvish makes another appearance. I know you've already heard the preview of this song, but just listen to this part and tell me it isn't blooming with the spirit of Middle-earth. That Elvish you heard is Quenya, and it means something like this. Into the west, the day is passing, / has come. It is here at last, follow. This is interesting because it isn't talking about the journey that the hobbits are going to go on, since they are heading east. It ties itself more to the elves preparing to leave Middle-earth. Into the west, LOTR fans will recognise as the name of the credits song Annie Lennox sung for Return of the King. And The Road Goes Ever On is a walking song J.R.R. Tolkien wrote for his novels. While lyrics from both of these songs aren't exactly copied to create The Road Goes On, we can still understand that this song for the musical is definitely about leaving your old life behind and moving on to something / somewhere new. Next we have Saruman's song. It isn't sung by him, but a group of female singers who I presume to be elves. What they are singing in question are the names of the old stars / beings of Arda. You would think this would be an evil song, like a Disney villain type song, but no. And thank goodness we don't have any of those kinds of songs in this musical. They would completely ruin the mood. Saruman is more like a lament to the Great Wizard because he's choosing the wrong side. The fact that the elves are singing the names of the Valar that remained faithful even when Melkor, the first Dark Lord, fell into greed and violence, suggests that they are trying to remind Saruman that he can't be the one to let history repeat itself. Because even though he's falling to Sauron's manipulation, he is still a powerful being like the Valar. The eerie undertone of this piece represents that he is no longer going to use his power for good, even as they try to persuade him. Because looking at where this song appears on the album, it's probably playing as Saruman betrays Gandalf and takes him captive. Now we go back to the hobbits, who have reached the Prancing Pony in Bree.
From off the dress and France, found a spoon and gaily danced. Horses neighed and champed their bits, for the bloodshot moon had lost its wits.
The Cat and the Moon is based on a drinking song that Bilbo Baggins wrote in J.R.R. Tolkien's novels. Staying true to the source material, this scene sees Frodo jump up on a table and start singing it. In the musical, everybody joins in too this time, and it's a fun dancing number. Here's a clip. On to the fifth song. Flight to the Ford is set when Frodo is being taken to Rivendell by Glorfindel, or in the movie's case, Arwen, which I'm thinking they stuck with in the musical version. This song is very instrumental based, with some hushed chanting at the start which builds up to loud chanting, and then to Arwen belting out some notes that reminds us about the Indian influence on this music. The sixth song continues with Arwen on vocals, starting in Elvish and going into English, as Frodo recovers from his run-in with the Black Riders. We'll come back to the Song of Hope later, when it's repeated in its duet form.
Star of Yarden, you'll look down, here I cry, ever shining, perfect light and blaze in the sky.
Our Lady just keeps on singing. Arwen leads everybody on stage this time in Star of Yarendel, which sees the Fellowship setting out together to destroy the One Ring. As we all know, that plan kind of gets thrown out the window soon. But for now, sit back and enjoy more of this song in this clip. The 8th song of the Lord of the Rings musical is Lament for Moria, which I'm strongly sure is sung by Gimli. This is the first song that I didn't love while listening to the album for the first time. It's very short and I feel like it would have been a little out of place to watch on stage, because this musical isn't all sung, like the Phantom of the Opera, for example. It has specific times for songs and this just wasn't one, in my opinion. Maybe a bit of poetry from Gimli's side would have been better. Another short song, The Golden Wood, is like a prologue to Lothlorien. There's not much to say about this one, but it does weirdly remind me of Frozen. 10th on the LOTR soundtrack, we have Lothlorien. It starts out exactly how you saw earlier, with Legolas singing about Galadriel, and the land of peace that she made for the elves of Middle-earth. Indeed, the elves join in singing a chant of praise for their Lady of Light in Quenya. Then Galadriel herself descends from the ceiling using some golden silks. I am so glad we have this clip to watch on YouTube, because this song is by far one of my all-time favourites from any musical. Laura Michelle Kelly, you did a marvellous job. I'm still baffled on how they managed to tell the whole story of The Lord of the Rings in a few hours, without having the flexibility that the people who made the movie franchise had. Definitely the time skip straight from Lothlorien to the Battle of Minas Tirith messed with my mind. The 11th song is The Siege of the City of Kings, and it's very much the soundtrack that would play when everyone's on the battlefield. Interestingly, the music from Saruman is repeated here, which suggests that it's evolved at its core to become the theme for corruption, since the whole war started from corruption. After that, we go to see where Frodo and Sam are at in the story, in the song Now and For Always. The order of events in the musical must differ from that of the books and the movies, because our two Hobbit boys are still on very good terms, and singing about how their story is going to be told back in Hobbiton.
Sit by the firelight's glow, tell us an old tale we know, tell of adventures strange and rare.
I really like this song because it encompasses the feeling that we LOTR fans get in our hearts when we revisit the story that means so much to all of us. Now, remember that Gollum and Smeagol duet thing that I mentioned earlier? Yeah, it's time for that.
Slicing, ripping, hobbits, and it's out! No, I don't want to! Please! Need it, want it, get it, take it, hurt it, kill it! No, we promised! Not us!
Despite how amazing it would be to watch this live, performed by one man, I won't lie, I do skip this song when I'm listening to the album. Praise to Michael Theriault again though, for having the courage to pick up the role only 3 years after Andy Serkis' triumph in the movies.
A waking dawn will find us, and at last return us home.
That's a lovelier duet to listen to, isn't it? The Song of Hope reprise is sung by Arwen and Aragorn, when our poor Ranger Man is doubting himself as a leader, and convincing himself that he'll be the one to let Middle-earth down. He misses the golden days he spent with his love when everything was easier. Arwen comes through a vision or some physical form, I'm not sure, to comfort him, and the song that comes from that is really beautiful. Now, I'm not saying that One Moment With You from Fellowship isn't beautiful.
It feels like a whole lot of romance. We can make forever start tonight.
But the lyrics matched with the harmonies in the Song of Hope reprise are definitely something else. Our 15th song is Wonder, sung by Galadriel, I'm guessing after Sam uses her gift, a vial of light, to protect Frodo after he's attacked by Shelob, the giant spider. The lyrics tell us that Galadriel is deciding to follow her fate, that is, to leave Middle-earth, even if it means to leave her perfect child Lothlorien behind, because once the battle is won, she will not be needed in its lands. But until then, she will do all that she can to help, which ties the song back to Sam defeating Shelob with her vial. Now our musical is coming to an end. Eventually, as the ring falls into the fires of Mount Doom, Gollum following after it, and obviously dying in the process, we hear the song The Final Battle. So on stage, Aragorn is most likely leading his forces against those of Sauron at the Black Gate, in this scene as well. The last half is basically a reprise of Wonder, but way more epic and exploding with power in your headphones. It is definitely worthy to compare with Howard Shore's score for the LOTR film. The 17th song is Epilogue, Farewells. There's no singing, just soft and sad music as Frodo, Bilbo and Gandalf, and some others, board their boat that will take them into the West and on to the next world. The Song of Hope is heard for the last time, and I'm pretty sure everybody sitting in the theatre, except for those disagreeable critics of course, would have had tears in their eyes. Last but not least, we have the finale. It repeats our two main Hobbit songs, starting with The Cat and the Moon, and then turning to The Road Goes Ever On, with that glorious verse sung by the elves, bidding us our own farewell. I'm going to play the whole last half of it now for you because it gives me so many chills. Maybe it's just the violins, but I think you'll all feel something too. Done. I definitely feel like I'm an expert on the Lord of the Rings musical, and I hope you do too. I know it will probably never happen, but I'll always be fighting for a concert performance of all of the songs. What else can I say? Listen to the soundtrack, watch the videos on YouTube, and comment down below what you think of this musical. If you've got some more information that I couldn't find, a fact about the costumes, or some information on the songs, please feel free to share. I made this video so people wouldn't have to search for hours on Google for a bit of information on this musical. So let's start some conversations. Thank you for watching. Liking and subscribing is much appreciated. And if you want to watch another one of my videos, make sure to check out my channel. I also have an Instagram page, which I'll link down below, where I post pictures of some of my cosplays. Maybe I should do someone from Middle-earth next. Thanks again, and remember, even the smallest person can change the course of the future.